Welcome back to Switched to Linux. Well, today I want to talk a little bit about why OnlyOffice is still not quite ready for prime time. There's been a lot of buzz about it. A lot of this is because OnlyOffice has just released another update. And like all things in Linux and FOSS and all these things, when a new update comes out, everybody comes out and talks about how amazing it is. And I've seen some video titles like, this is the best software suite ever, and this is going to replace whatever else. So I wanted to go ahead and have another look at it because I've looked at it in the past and it wasn't ready. Now, before we dive into this, I'm going to look at this from the perspective of an author who uses LibreOffice to produce the books, which get exported to the files to actually send to a commercial printer to print and sell books. So this isn't a basic, hey, we're going to open up a document. This is I write and produce books for mainstream publication. You can buy my books anywhere. You can buy books online, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, every place you can buy your books. Those books that I write are produced on Linux using open source software. And I wanted to compare OnlyOffice to that and show you where a few of the problems are. Now, this is not a video done in the negative saying this is so horrible, it shouldn't ever be used. There are a lot of places where OnlyOffice are good. Number one is if you are transitioning from Microsoft Office, it might be a good option because it has the new look of Microsoft Office rather than the old look of Microsoft Office, which LibreOffice by default uses the old look. I prefer the old look. I absolutely hate the ribbons and the toolbars and the nonsense. I want the giant panel of icons at the top where I don't have to scroll through 15 things 15 times to finally spot what I'm looking for. That is a matter of personal preference, not a technical detail about how it works. Also, it would appear that OnlyOffice may handle docx files exclusively? My lord, it cannot handle your basic ODT open source document type formats. And I'm going to demonstrate this so that in hopes that the people who are involved in this can spot to say, hey, maybe we should shore up our open source. I mean, we are about FOSS and open source community, right? I feel like looking at OnlyOffice, I feel like it is the software application that you want to use if you would like to continue suckling on the teat of Microsoft. Because it appears as though it's put every bit of development into the docx file format. Maybe as Linux people, we should be moving people away from that. Even Microsoft Office can handle ODT files just well. It sometimes just gives you a scary little warning. OnlyOffice doesn't even handle them well. I'm going to demonstrate what I am talking about. Again, I don't hate this software application. I think that there are many ways and many places that it is easy to use. I think that it is an excellent alternative, and I absolutely hope that they fix some of the problems I'm talking about here from an author's perspective. So if LibreOffice goes insane, I have something I can jump to. I love the fact that OnlyOffice is doing a lot of cloud integration, but I don't like the fact that when you first boot it up, it tries to force you onto the cloud. I don't want stuff on the cloud. But they are one of the companies, LibreOffice being the other, that are pushing a cloud-based alternative to Google Docs, to the point where if you install Nextcloud now, it is no longer needed to have a separate Colab server to make things work. You can actually do it directly from inside of Nextcloud, utilizing the software that OnlyOffice and LibreOffice have been developing. So there are good online cloud circumstances you can use it, but I do not want to use a cloud by default, and I do not recommend people use a cloud system by default. So with that being said, let's go ahead and show you why, from an author's perspective, OnlyOffice is not actually good at managing documents that are not super advanced, just, hey, the things that professional printers need. So we're going to go over to Pop! OS. I had a Pop! OS in my VM, and it was the only first one that I had that had flatpaks working out of the box. That leads us to another issue, is that OnlyOffice generally is not in repositories. You're going to be forced into flatpaks or Arch user repositories or manual installs if you want to use it. Now, that, as it gains some steam, hopefully more Linux distributions start packaging it. Hey, I'm all right with that. That's cool. And that happens at the beginning of every great piece of software. That's not a big criticism. That's just, as of right now, you need to be using Flatpak to use it. Now, to demonstrate this, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into LibreOffice. And I'm going to, in LibreOffice, I am going to open up my latest book in the format that it actually went to the printer. This is the actual copy that got sent to the printer to print the book in paperback edition. So this is a .odt file. So it is done inside of LibreOffice. I have installed the fonts that we're using to make sure that everything appears on this computer as it is. That's 3 FOSS fonts. Is it Abava, Libre, AFTA, Sans, and Dancing Script, all with an SIL font license, so you can use them. Looks like this may not be the absolute final one, simply because I don't have my ESBNs in here. But everything is formatted and ready to go. This is right before I put those numbers in. So as we scroll through the document, first thing you'll notice, we have a table of contents, and our table of contents is put in here properly according to the .ott formatting. I can upload it, I can delete it, I can add it. I have videos about how to do a lot of this stuff on my writing channel, which I have not spoken about very much. The other thing I'm going to highlight as we go through here is there is a whole separate styles. So we can put in a variety of different styles. Now in in OpenOffice, you can define some basic paragraph styles like you can here. But in LibreOffice, we have the ability to do character styles. These are some frame styles. The page styles is what is mostly missing from OnlyOffice. And I'm going to show you why that is important as we get into this. So we have a second index here. This is just some basic information, and then we have some individual sections. Now, as I've sectioned this out, on the sections that expand several different pages, you'll notice that the section title is going to be on the left-hand page. And I believe the title of the book might be on the right-hand page. We'll see. So here's the introduction. Again, left-hand page, introduction, right-hand page, introduction. So it might just be all those. So here's the section. And then here starts in on the first chapter. This is actually the section name, and I think over here we have the chapter name. So that's how I have these set. So as you are defining your page headers and you set this one time, and as you are formatting your navigation of your book. So as I have it here, as you're formatting your navigation, we can see our headers are breaking things out. So the seeds of destruction here is going to be your section title, and the I am not alone, mommy who is God, who is daddy, can I have that, can you keep a secret? Those are all chapter titles, which will appear over here. You set that one time inside of LibreOffice, and it will autofill through the rest of your entire document. All right. Now, the other thing I'm going to note it is if you have a look at your margins, when you are printing a book, there is what is called a gutter margin. A gutter margin accounts for the place where the book is bound. Now, OnlyOffice interprets gutter margin a little bit different way in a different application, and that is actually quite significant because what you need to do is on a right-hand page like this one is, we have a slightly larger margin than we have on the right-hand margin to account for the space where the book is being bound together. And then correspondingly, when you go onto the left page, there is a slightly larger margin on the right. So in LibreOffice, when you go in here and you make your settings, you can define this as a right page. And as you're typing and you move to another page, the next page that's automatically going to show up is a left page. So I can style a right page and a left page to match my margins perfectly, which is exactly what the book printer needs in order to print out. Okay, so left page, right page. I click over here. It's going to go back. That's a left page again. Clicking here, you'll see it toggles to the right page. So you can see that each one of these guys is set the way it needs to be. All right, so let's get down to the next big section, which I can get in the navigation. Let's go ahead down here. So click back over here, and we'll go back up to our page styles. So you can see that this is a section page, which I've set to have a certain height of a margin. And then this should just be blank or a default. There's no page numbers or anything. This is going to be a chapter page. And then the chapter page, which is always going to be a right-hand page, always moves to a left page next, where we have our page numbers pick up, left, and then right. Page numbers, left, and then right. Oh, there you go. Left and then right. So you can see how LibreOffice is formatting this. Again, this is the open document type format. All right, so we're going to go ahead and open this exact document back up inside of OnlyOffice. So you open up OnlyOffice and you open up the .odt file here, and what you're going to find is that nothing works. Okay, so you scroll down here. Here's your table of contents. So it ignores a page break. As you flip through down here, let's just scroll down a little bit. You'll see that there's no margin differences, so it breaks the margins. There are no page numbers. There are no headers. So it basically strips all of the things for an open source document. So if we're getting out in the writing world and I'm encouraging people to use open source software and they're writing a book and they're sending this to me and they're using OnlyOffice, if I send this back to them for some change after I've made some styles, it is basically going to be lost because apparently OnlyOffice cannot read the open source document type format. That's insane. Now, what I did is I went out and I went into LibreOffice and I exported out of LibreOffice. I exported the document as a docx file. This one actually reads a little bit better, but it still is missing several components. And we're going to get into that. Now, what is right? Obviously, you can see here, it did get the fonts and the margins and the spaces right here so that that's on its own separate page like it's supposed to be. If you have a look at your margins actually are correct. However, there's no specific page style. So I would have to go into every page as far as I know, and maybe somebody can correct me on this, but you have to go into every page section, go into layout, go into margins, custom margins, and you would actually have to define your margins separately per page. As far as I know, again, I don't know if there's a better way to do this, but I consulted the documents. So if you go on into your documentation where we have a lot of information about page formatting and style formatting and things like this, there is nothing in here talking about page formatting, how to have separate page templates or anything like this. So what we can go to the home and we can do, these are mostly like paragraph settings and things that are pulling in properly, apparently, from the text. So we do actually have some of these guys. We do have some of these guys in here. Which one was that? It should be like text body. Where's it at? See, and this is like, what is this nonsense? I'm looking for the one called text body. Where is it? Table text. In LibreOffice, everything is literally alphabetized. You can find stuff. All right, what is this? This is, I have no idea. Apparently, it's not even saving whatever we're doing. Let me just undo. I don't even know what format it is. It's just randomly making a format. So if I make any changes, I have to change everything globally. All right. Now, the next thing you'll notice is look at your headings. It's borrowing the same exact heading, and it's using that in one place. If I double click this to make any form of change, apparently it is whatever I change has to be done on the page section. I did try and break out a a separate section here, because if you notice it says section 13, section 14. So apparently it's doing each section as pages or something. I'm not sure where it's getting that, but it's not interpreting our formatting correctly. And so I could not take a document in ODT, even open it back up in OnlyOffice, make some adjustments, and send it to a printer for review. I couldn't do that. I could take this document, last I checked, and I could take it and open it up in Microsoft Office. That may have changed. I've not used Microsoft Office in a long, long time at this point. But just to highlight some of the ideas, not in, again, I'm not evaluating the spreadsheets. I'm not evaluating the presentation features. There's a lot of things it's doing right. But as far as interpreting the open document format, we can't separate page margins. We can't separate page styles and templates that I know of. We can't even open a .odt document properly formatted, which, by the way, we can open in a variety of other Office suites and preserve the custom settings. We can't seem to do that here. It doesn't interpret the ODT file format well. So what solutions does OnlyOffice have? Well, first and foremost, I think it's a great alternative. For people that love this layout, it's good for that. For people that are not formatting books to send to printers to print, that's fine. But these are basic style things I'm doing, so I'd be leery about creating any document on LibreOffice and sending it to somebody using OnlyOffice. I don't think it's going to work right. And I don't think that has anything to do with, basic system differences. I think it has to do with the fact that it's just not interpreting the open source document type. So if we're using OnlyOffice, apparently it does docx well. I can't confirm that completely. And I hear the argument, oh, but most of the world uses docx. We're the FOSS community. We should be moving people away from closed source proprietary formats like docx. What OnlyOffice needs to do, number one, give us the degree and the level of page style controls LibreOffice has. Number two, you have to get this open document type working right. I am not going to touch OnlyOffice as long as it cannot interpret open document formats right, because that is a standard by which we're doing in the FOSS community. So despite all of the buzz about OnlyOffice, about being this amazing best thing, it's going to take over the whole world, it can't do the basic FOSS document types properly. From that standpoint, I can't specifically recommend it at this point in time. I think it's moving along greatly. It has a lot of potential, and I hope it gets to the point where I do have this as a good, viable alternative. So when someone's like, man, I really miss that layout from Microsoft Office, we can do the layout from Microsoft Office easier. I mean, even LibreOffice, let me just show you. LibreOffice, you can actually do that. It's under, where's it at? I never use it, so I thought it was under user interface. Yeah, okay, there you go. So it's under user interface. Let's apply to all. So here's tabs. It doesn't look quite as good. There's a single toolbar, side toolbar. This one might be it. Let's hit apply to all. See what that one looks like. So this one's closer to it. OnlyOffice does look... It does look a little bit better. I don't want it pinned. Stop it. It does look prettier and nicer in that respect. I don't care. I actually like the old format of LibreOffice better. But it is good that it's an alternative, but it's got a lot of work to come. So when everyone's talking about it being the greatest editor ever, no, it's not. Stick to LibreOffice for a while. Way better of an application. We're going to go ahead and leave this one here. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you use OnlyOffice? Do you use LibreOffice? Why do you use it? Why don't you use it? Let me know. Get some good discussion going on in the comments down there. I would like to hear from you guys about what am I missing here? I mean, it's just Microsoft Office for Linux. That's all I see. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and we will see you next time. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM, or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.